Hey everyone, coming at you live again with another animation tutorial. Last week we covered the fighting idol, right? Mallet Boy here, he's idling. He's doing, and there. We ended last week and maybe doing a couple tweaks to the, a couple more polishing. But I think for right now, this is a good stopping point of where we got to last week. And so now what I want to do, what I want to go through is some fighting, like punches, jab, and then maybe powerhouse punch, a jab and then a powerhouse punch, and see where we go from there. If you want to get on, give a shout out, leave a message, I'll message you back. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and get started here. The very first thing we should do when we're starting this kind of stuff, right, is these kind of animations, especially if we don't know what we're doing, is get on and look up some videos of how to punch, how to jab, and how to use your powerhouse or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to go to how to jab. Perfect video, right? Let's go here. Then we can skip this ad here. Okay, let's get to the juicy stuff. Okay, right here. Okay, we got our proper boxing stance for the on Mallet Boy. We're just going through this video here. It's 6 minutes long, so it won't be too bad. And so these how-to videos are really nice when you're looking up reference videos, because they break down like what exactly you need to do. Like if you wanted to animate a pitcher throwing a ball, how to throw a ball, right? How to pitch a ball or whatever. They're gonna break down the exact movements for the pitch, and you have your key poses right in there, right? They break down. They're usually gonna go to here, right here. You're gonna let go of the ball, right, and then you get your key poses, and it works out really well. Here, the same thing, right? This guy's gonna break down exactly what you're gonna do when you're doing the jab. We're just gonna watch this for a minute, and then we'll break this video down. Okay, and it's nice when you get videos that go in slow motion. Lead hand goes straight out. I want to break it down just a little bit more. Hands up. You'll notice for animation, just want to point this out when you're watching reference. He's going to go down, and then he's going to go up. His hands go down, and he's going to go up, right? I might want to put that in our blocking. We don't know though. Lead hand goes straight out. And you'll notice that his hands are straight up on his face like this. We didn't animate that in our idle just because this is a street brawler. Right? We're doing more of a street brawler, not an actual MMA fighter or like boxer, right? Okay. We're not listening to the audio, just trying to get the poses he's going for. And so let's go back to let's see. I like this one because this is the camera angle that we're going from, right here. So there's a key pose right there, right? And so we've already got our idle, and so This would be like something like a fighting move, right? And so in the game, he's just gonna boom, right? He's just gonna go out, and so that's exactly what we're gonna animate. And like every other animation that we're breaking down and going to a new one, we're gonna start from our idle animation, right? And so we just gotta copy and paste this keyframe to a new layer. Okay, and let's go. Let's say jab on this new layer, and then we do paste. Okay, there's our fighting pose. And it's best to do, kind of explaining what I explained yesterday, it's best to do this animation where the hands are in FK mode, right, not IK. And the reason is because you can really get the rotations you need out of everything, right? It'll take a little bit extra work to work out what the shoulder's doing, what the elbow's doing, what the wrist is doing, all separately, but it gives you a lot more control in this instance, right? And honestly, the hands will follow the torso quite nicely, right? The chest quite nicely, right? And so let's just build out that pose we saw. If we want to go back, we can just check out a reference. If we want to, with his powerhouse hand, right, with his strong arm here, we can when he goes to punch, we can bring that up a little bit and jab, just like the guy does, right? We can pull his hand up and then we can jab, right? And so let's just build out a second pose. Make sure we're in blocking mode, right? Plant, step, select all of our controls, go into the graph editor, and just step all these. Now we're in step mode for a 6 if we want to get our texture back. Okay. So let's go ahead and build this out. Let's just build out what the main parts obviously is going to be his arm, right? Whoop. And it comes straight out, right? Right now it's coming down. We want it to come straight out. That was one of the emphasizing parts of the video, is it comes straight out. Right? And maybe we want to turn his head like this just a little bit. Maybe his eyes to try and cheat it. Eyes and the head, like that, right? So if you notice, his body is, he's in this stance, right? And when he goes out, he rotates his body forward, right? And you can see his body, his whole upper chest go forward, right? Like that. So we want to get that as well. Like I said, we can pull his arm up. Oops. Like this. Got to get the whole body in there, because you notice his hips. From his hips, his whole body is pulling into that, right? And he's leaning his whole entire left side into that jab, right? Just tweaking the pose a little bit. It just doesn't feel quite right. Oops. Click on that. Okay. Let's raise his shoulder up a little. Let's see. They went into a breakdown of the shoulder. Rear hand goes high for protection. Okay, yeah. See, shoulder, two very distinct things, right? That's just like kind of a weaker punch, where his shoulder's down. It's not really in his face, right? But then he goes and shows, bend that down, bring that shoulder up, right? And I don't think this has to really do with, like, well, maybe it does have to do with technique. I mean, I'm not a boxer, I'm not, you know, but he is a street fighter. But I think that's a natural response that your body's going to do when you're actually fighting someone. You're going to bring your shoulders up and then punch the guy, right? You're not just going to be like, oh, I'm going to punch you and just kind of throw your arm out there, right? You're going to box up, and your shoulders are going to go up next to your face, and then you're going to punch, right? You're going to punch. And these are quick. These are going to be quick animations that we're doing, right? They're not going to be super long. Like the idle, it took the whole time. The single one idle took the entire time to go over. We're probably going to do like a jab and then a punch and then a jab punch, right? We'll see what we get through today. These are going to be quick animations for the for this tutorial, and we'll get through a couple of them. And you know what? Since our hand is already not up in the air, it might be kind of weird to have it come up all of a sudden, and so I'm just going to go ahead and decide to bring it back down. Keep his shoulder up still, right? And we can throw his arm back like this, and that'll open him up anyway, right? That feels really natural, right there, because he doesn't have technique, right? He doesn't know the technique. He's just a street fighter going out for a brawl, right? Or just gets in a fight on the street. Maybe his body turns more. Let's see, keep grabbing that Benbow. Arm bend. Okay, boom. He's going to keep his eyes on his target. He's punching in. Boom. Boom. Right. So we got our main pose in there, right, which is the jab. Okay, and something else to emphasize this animation, we're going to want an anticipation, right? Like, there's going to be a quick jab, right? But there's going to be some kind of anticipation pose. Like, the brain kind of always does before a big action. There's going to be an anticipation, right? Like jumping, right? Before somebody jumps, they're going to kind of bend down. It doesn't matter how far the jump is, right? Unless you are trying not to anticipate your jump, you're always going to bend down and then jump, right? Same thing. The body, when it's about to punch, it's gonna lean back just a little. Even for a jab, right? It's gonna lean back just a little bit and then go, right? It's gonna curve this way, and then let's see if this guy does it. So that's what him going down is, right? It's small, it's subtle, but the anticipation is there, right? In actual human body physics, you're not going to see this really big jump of a motion sometimes in these animations, right? He's going to go up, and then he kind of goes down, and then he goes, right? He down, and then he goes. It's really small and subtle. But you'll notice, if we step through this, okay, this is the weaker one. Okay, yeah, now he goes down into here. And this is kind of like he's going from, this isn't a good example because he's going from that upper stance. Maybe it is, I don't know. He's going from the upper stance, going down, there's the anticipation, and then boom, he goes for the punch. right? But even when he comes back, right, he's right here back in his fighting pose. If you'll notice, back in his fighting pose, he comes back, he rotates his body back, bends down like this. There's the anticipation, that right there, the anticipation of going down, and then he goes for the punch, right? Always going to happen. If your body is going to do something big and you're going to have something like that's going to happen, a jump, a punch, a spin when your body spins around, if you're going to do it like a twirl around or whatever, your body's going to go this way first, and then it's going to twirl around the other way, right? That's the anticipation your body makes. There's a lot of body mechanics in animation that are kind of subtle, that people don't really know is actually the body is doing. It's the brain's response of doing things. You're winding up, you're getting ready, right? And a boxer, let's actually let's look up a boxing match. I'm just curious what it looks like, a boxing match looks like, and what the boxer will actually do, you know, diving deeper in to like a boxing let's see, boxing fights we need to see in 2020. Skip forward to the fighting. So right here is a good example. This guy right here, he's about to punch, right? He's going for the punch in this next move, right? He's going to the punch. So he's gonna bend down. He fakes him, right? Fakes him right there. But that's not what we're paying attention to. He fakes him. I just thought it was cool, you know. Fakes him, and then this guy scoots back. But what he's gonna do, and actually, the anticipation for this fake, he actually goes down. We can break this down too. This guy right here, pay attention to this guy. He actually goes down. He moves his foot back, shifts his weight to his back foot. There's the anticipation for that fake, right? There's the anticipation. Then he goes up for the fake, and then he anticipates real big, like this, and then goes for the punch to the abs, right? And it's a real big anticipation. He's getting ready to throw all of his weight into that punch. Small anticipation here with that fake, and then he goes down and really gets an anticipation pose right here to get ready to hit that guy. Right. So I was just curious how the actual fighting, you know, how the boxers really look when they're anticipating. So what we're gonna do in building the animation is we're gonna exaggerate that, right? We're gonna have him go. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have Mallet Boy here. He's gonna rotate back like this, and we gotta exaggerate this, right? This is not real life. This is video game, right? We gotta anticipate this. And he's also gonna throw his arm back here like this. Back like that, and he's also going to go down, just like we saw that fighter, right? He went down, probably brought his shoulders up, right, anticipating that punch. Pull his shoulders up. Boom. His eyes are doing something. We won't worry about that right now. Right, and so we're not going to wind this back as much. When we go into a powerhouse punch, this guy, Mallet Boy, is going to really, he's going to, even when he's trying to do a fast thing, just like the fighter, the boxer we saw, right? He really anticipated that, right? this arm, this powerhouse arm right here is he's gonna really reel that back. It's gonna be quick. He's gonna reel it back and then go for that punch. But this is the jabbing arm. This is his jabbing arm, right? He's just barely gonna anticipate and then go. But with that powerhouse arm, he's really gonna reel back and then boom, because he wants to knock that guy out, right? He wants to go for that power punch. So right now he's just. Let's see. Let's go back to this here. Okay. Go back. Boom. And maybe we can pull this. Oops. We can pull this wrist in real good right here, like this. The hand pose is not favoring our wind back here. That's okay though. But as far as this punch goes, I mean, this is really all the animation is going to be, right? And the fun part of this animation is going to be in the spline, right? Because you can get some really fast motion here, right? And really straighten that arm out and really get some like smear frames, kind of, when he punches and you have that path of action, that straight path of action coming with his arm here. He goes out, boom, comes back. And it's going to be a cool, nice smear frame kind of thing we're going to try and get. So let's copy our first frame to our last frame. These are our key poses here. Anticipation, big pose, then back, right? And let's go ahead and time that out now. Well, select all your keys and press S through all of them. Make sure they're all locked in. Okay, and then we're going to. Sorry about that. We're going to just give everything the same timing and spacing, right? See how that works for us. Put this down to about 20 frames. Like that, and then this isn't going to be a huge. We can go into more exaggerated jabs, right, where he really gets in there. Boom. Kind of like this boxer here on this that's a jab. That's just a jabbing hand. That's not even his powerhouse hand, right? That's just jabbing hand. See, this guy's going for a lot of jabs. But we're just going for a simple, quick jab. And so on the anticipation, what I like to do when I'm doing this anticipation, it's going to be a little faster than this. Everything has linear timing, right? The animation is going to be a little faster than this. So what I like to do on that anticipation pose, when I create an anticipation pose in blocking, they go back, right? And if I spline this right now, he would just kind of go like this, right? He would go back and then punch. I got to build in that anticipation where he kind of pulls back, hangs for just a second. It's not even going to be a second. It's going to be a couple frames. You're going to feel that though. He's going to pull back and he's going to go, right? And so let's actually experiment with this. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and just spline this the way it is right now, right? And you'll see what I'm talking about. And his hand is doing some weird things. So as you notice, he's just kind of going back and just going forward, right? And we can say, well, you got to adjust the timing. Well, yes, we can adjust the timing. But it just kind of quickly goes back and goes forward, right? We want him to go back, hold for just a frame or two. We want him to hold, come back. We want him to go back, hold for a frame or two, and then go forward, right, and punch. And so what we're going to do is we're going to hold this. He's going to come back. He's going to reel back. And we're going to hold this for 2 frames. I'm going to say 2 frames for right now. Okay, we might drop that down to 1. 2 frames might be too long because we want this to be a really quick motion. And honestly, actually, in video games, you might, unless this is an idle break, which this is not. This is a punching move. And in a video game, when you're doing a punching move, and the player presses the button, they're going to want a quick response, right? The player's going to press the button, and then it's going to happen. And so you'd probably start back in this anticipate. You'd probably start in the anticipation pose, and when the player presses the B button, whatever, he's already back in this pose right now. But for the purposes of showing the waiting for like the timing, spacing, and all the aspects of the animation, we're starting from idle. This could be an idle break, right? I mean, in the game, they could be just standing there in a selection screen and then just show their moves to the player, right? Okay, so we have him reel back for 2 frames, and then he goes forward, right? And then he pops forward, but that's because we're in blocking. Boom, right? So let's go ahead and just spline this again. Let's see what we got. And then since we're in spline mode now, we got to change it back to auto. Okay. We can work out the hand. It's kind of right. We'll work that out. But as you can see, he holds back for just a second, right? And to smooth that out, we're just gonna take his body here and go like this. We can either do this right here manually, or we can do it in the graph editor with the Y. And just pull it like that, right? So that you get that nice smooth right here. So it's not like a dip or anything. It's a nice smooth gradual thing. He comes back. And you see that, right? He gradually comes back, and you can feel that anticipation, right? It's very small. Maybe you feel like it's not noticeable, but in animation, you shouldn't be able to see the animation. You should be able to feel it, right? And this is something definitely that you can feel. Okay, we want to make sure that we grab his body control too, because if you remember on the body, we had it translating down. Translate down, so we're gonna get the same thing. Let's fix that arm too, right? It's driving us all crazy. So in this type of animation, I don't think Euler filter is gonna help us, right? Euler filter kind of fixes any gimbal issues. I don't know for sure if Euler filter is gonna help us in this instance. We can check it out. Curves and then Euler filter, right? Oh, it did. What that's going to do is it's going to get rid of any gimbal issues. There we go. Okay. Sometimes depending on the rig, Euler filter can be iffy, and so that's why I said I didn't know if Euler filter was going to do anything for us. Okay. Boom. Right. There's a jab. That looks like a jab. Right. It looks like a jab. But we want to push that. Okay. We want to push that. And I don't want to go from this bent position where it's bent here, bent down, bent down and then bent up, right? I kind of want to get a straight, like straight arm the whole way through, right? Where it's you see that line of action coming through the whole arm. It's just straight on, right? It's none of this here where you can see this bend here, and then see this bend. It's just boom, and it's nice and straight, right? And if we look back at this boxer and this reference here, that's what's going on. Let's go to a front view. I like the front view just a little bit more for this example. His elbow, it's saying notice the elbow. The elbow raises up right here, right? Let's go back. Let's scrub through this. His elbow raises up, right? And you're getting... remember, we're exaggerating. This is not real life, but his elbow does come up. He goes up with his elbow and jabs out, right? He's not going like this. He's raising and punching out, right? And so his elbow's raising up, right? And so we want to get that. Right now, we're not getting any of that elbow raising up, right? She's just coming straight out. And so if we go like this, and when he goes to punch, we're able to get more of that straight arm action, right? Goes up, but we don't want that. We want it to come down. and go into the punch. It feels a lot stronger because we straighten that arm out more and we raise that elbow. We got a nice arc there coming in and out. It's a round, you know, if this was the top, if you could see me from the top view, his fist is coming out like this and it's rounding out. We got a nice curve there. But we can maybe even push this even farther, right? So his elbow's like this, and we actually, you know, press S on this frame here, and then press on this frame S on this frame here, lock everything, all of our poses down. Just maybe get rid of this. You know, experiment with this. We can maybe get rid of this. So he's like, boom, right? And I'm experimenting here. I don't know for sure if it's going to work. And I'm going to bring his arm so it stays in that straighter motion. And we can actually, once he gets here, boom, right here. Let's see, once he gets here, we can hold him there for a frame, right? Put it in between here. Maybe not hold him, but just make it so he lasts a little bit longer in this pose. And you know, if we don't like it, we can always put that back in there. But we need to fix it. Oops. Fix it like that. Something else I want to do here is if you'll notice, his arm isn't doing anything. His arm is staying, it comes back and it just kind of stays in the same bent position. It doesn't compress at all, right? It doesn't compress in at all. His forearm and his shoulder doesn't compress into his hand doesn't, you don't see it going into his, bending into his arm, right? And so we want to change that. We're going to bring it in. Rotate his hand in like this. Down so you have a nice, oops. And then you think we're done, right? It looks like a jab. Yes and no. Okay? It's looking stiff because of this arm here, of his powerhouse arm, right? It's looking stiff. He goes forward. We want to make it so his hand stays forward for just a little bit longer. So we just pull that forward like this. This is going to give us some nice overlap, right? As he goes back, this arm goes forward. As he comes like this, actually, he's anticipating this way, right? This arm is going to stay almost where it's at, and then it's going to, right, and it'll just kind of emphasize that boom, when he, boom, boom. That feels good, right? Boom, it goes like, it does that. And so we're going to want to try and interpret that into our animation here. Rotate this forward like this. Rotate it down. Okay, it's a little too poppy. That second pose was not needed. Let's see. Boom. And then when he's going to go return back to here, this arm is going to, again, stay behind. Like this, right? It's going to stay behind just for a sec and get some overlap. head kind of does a pop here. Looks over. Don't want that. And again, his arm is protruding into his face there. That's okay. I mean, because we're going for a 2.5D style, right? Like we were explaining last time, we're going for a 2.5D style. Okay, let's find where that shoulder is. Oh, it's right here. I have it. Let's see if we can. Okay, I think this animation is done, honestly. As far as I want to take it. Maybe, well, that we were just focusing on the upper body. If we want to get into his lower body, right, we can grab his foot here, and as he's going to the punch, it will do a, not a lean, it will do a toe spin? Yes. It does just a slight toe spin, and this one is going to roll. But you see how that anticipation feels good? If we were just going into that, in fact, we can actually test that out. Let's go and save our animation, or save our work right now. Without anticipation, he just goes into the punch, right? Let's see how that feels. Adjust our timing so it goes. And we got to get rid of this pose. We got to lock this pose, get rid of this pose. Doesn't feel as good, right? I mean, I did fudge the timing a little bit, so it's kind of poppy, but at the same time, that anticipation of going back, that's just really what happens in physics. We're exaggerating that, but we need to because it's not actual human beings. So if we look at this a couple more times, it's kind of, right, just kind of goes forward, right? But if we step back now and go back to what we originally had, he anticipates and then goes. And it feels a lot nicer, a lot more human-like, right? Like it's supposed to. And I'm just noticing actually this his powerhouse arm is kind of doing a little bit of poppy stuff. So let's clean that up. So it rotates upward like this, and so it's coming straight back. Okay. Now let's go to the powerhouse. Let's see how we're working on time. Let's see how we're looking on time. We're at 38 minutes. Okay. So let's go through a punch. Right. To be honest, I don't know what this punch is called with his dominant hand. I know this is called the jab here. I don't know if it's actually called a powerhouse. But we'll just call it powerhouse for now. We're creating a new animation, so we're going to copy and paste the idle first frame. Right? Even if we're not going from idle, you can still get the same pose from the idle, right? Even if we're gonna go back to the anticipation pose, our fighter stance pose is already built for us, and so we're gonna be using this no matter what every time. Let's make sure that we step back into stepped mode, clamped and stepped mode. I know this seems kind of like a tedious thing to do, always going in and out of clamped and stepped mode. but it does pay off. At least if you're a stepped animator, right? Not all animators work in stepped mode. I do, and that's just the way I'm able to get my best results. Let's see here. Okay, so let's see if we can find some more some other reference for this. Let's just step-by-step boxing for beginners. Right. Okay, this is perfect because he starts out with an actual lacrosse. It is a power punch, powerhouse power punch, right? Step forward. Okay. So, what we've gone over quickly, real quick. He's in his power stance. He actually, if you remember back to the old video, he does not anticipate this much. He anticipates way less. He's anticipating way more because this is his power punch. He wants to go back and really throw that arm out there. This punch is thrown from the rear hand, which is kept high. This verb, terminology, thrown. They say thrown, so that's exactly what I said. You throw this punch. And so he anticipates way more on these ones. Right? He goes down way more because this is the punch you're going to use to knock somebody out, right? Not your jabs. Jabs break somebody's nose, right? Make them cry, and then the powerhouse, boom, knock them out. So let's build out our. It's going to happen on the third frame. So let's build out our pose here, right there. That's the pose we want, right? Step back just a little bit because that's the pose we want. And so we're just going to build that out in Mallet Boy here. His whole body turns. His whole body gets into it. And you can go for a complete hook if you want to, where his arm completely comes out like this, right on this punch. But we're just gonna go we're gonna go from the reference, right? That's our whole point today. And he's gonna punch upwards because his hand is already down here, right? He's not in like a typical boxer pose because he's not a real boxer, right? He's a street fighter. So he's going to be down here, and then he's going to go up, boom, down. He's going to come up to this point, right? And he's going to punch the guy in his face, and the guy's kind of taller than him, maybe, right? And we can pull this forward like this. Straighten that arm out. Maybe really exaggerate that turn of the. Guys are going off all into all sorts of weird places, kind of freaking me out. Boom. So rotate down just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to do the anticipation, right? And I kind of want to really exaggerate this one because I don't want to just do the typical, just comes back just a little bit. I really, really want to exaggerate this one where he really reels back, right? He's really coming back. really far, and he's getting ready to throw that punch, right? He wants to knock this guy out. He doesn't want to. He doesn't just want to make him bleed. He really wants to just knock him out. So he's gonna bend down. Sure, he's looking forward. And I'm trying to decide if I want him to step back and then go forward, or just stay where he's at with this foot. Because if we bring him back on his foot and then punch, it's going to be a lot stronger, right? You're really throwing your weight back behind you and then throwing it out in front of you, right? I mean, let's try it out. Let's shake it up from the other one, right? And so he really reels back. Right? He really reels back to really lay one on this guy that's in front of him, right? Pull his wrist like this because he's getting ready to punch him. And if these hands were more capable before the punch happens, right? We talked about this last time. Your hands wouldn't be clenched when you're idling, when you're bouncing around, getting ready to hit someone. You're not gonna be clenching your fist really tight, right? You're gonna be loosened up. And then when you go for the punch, you're gonna tighten those, and then boom, you're gonna go for the hit, right? Same thing happens with these punches. If the hands were capable or had more flexibility, we'd have them flex and then punch. That's kind of a cool detail that you can add, right? I just thought I'd go over that real quick. I kind of want to get this whole body really working into this, and this foot needs to rotate out more because he's getting ready to really lay this guy out. And then what we can do is we can do the opposite of where we can really have him go forward like this, right? And let's maybe toe spin. It would for sure roll. He'd for sure roll. Maybe do a lean. Let's see. Tilt. Let's go this way like this. Let's just have him roll and have him do that. Maybe that's just too far. Maybe we're pulling him too far. Okay. Comes back, reels back, and then boom. And if you really, really, really wanted a powerful punch, you could have him completely his whole. He just throws his whole self, right? Like this, right? This foot would rotate like this. Like this. I'm not really breaking this down or anything, but I don't want to go for that. I'm just going for just like a in place powerhouse punch, right? Eyes go up like this. Boom. We can pull this out like this if we want. Kind of exaggerate that punch a little bit more. Make sure our wrist is pointed outward like this. Straighten that arm a little bit more than what it is right now. on this arm, I know we can't see it from our angle based on the style we're doing, but this arm would come back like this. Right, the shoulder would come back as well. The shoulder would rotate back like this. This arm would bend in. Right. And there's this cool path of action that's actually going to happen, where it kind of, the arm is doing the same thing as this arm, right? You're creating this cool path of action, right? You're seeing both arms, they're kind of in the same straight line. And so, right, and in animation and in physics and life, you're going to see that. You're seeing these two cool lines, especially in fighting, is you're seeing the arms creating this rhythm of these straight, cool lines. Even when it's bent like this arm right here is going to be in that straight pose, right? You're gonna come back, and your arm's gonna flow through the whole body, right? It's actually pretty cool. So like that, you're having him, it's flowing, right? This is pointing up here. It's just like, and this is what happens in the body, because our bodies are in sync, right? When we're doing these kind of things. And let's see. Ooh, just to emphasize it more. Right, we can scale his hand up on the hit, right? And then after that, he's gonna come back into the idle. Okay, reels back, comes, hits. Okay, so let's block this out now. Let's time this out. Okay, so he's going to anticipate. This anticipation, so because it's such a big, more powerful move, it's going to hold for longer, right? He's going to reel back, hold for a little longer than the first one. He might, and since it's such a big motion, he might take longer to get into this anticipation than our first anticipation, and he's going to hold it for longer, right? There, and since we know it was like two in betweens. It was one in between for each key pose on our last animation for the jab. We'll just go with 2 for now, okay, and see if we need more, because this is a bigger punch and his body is traveling farther. And we're gonna hold this pose for a couple frames, then he's gonna return back to idle. I don't like how he's leaning back so much. Okay. Let's see. So let's look how this timing looks. And all that. I'm liking that. It's looking good. It's looking cool, right? He's going back and then going up for that punch. One thing I want to build into here that we didn't really build into our last one is that elbow. Maybe we can't quite build it in yet because it's not going to raise his elbow. Yeah, maybe. Let's raise his. Yeah, okay. He's reeling back. Let's go like this. Two poses are the same. He's reeling back, getting ready to boom. He punches. Or maybe he'll raise this shoulder as well to get ready to punch and protect himself. Oops. Okay. Reels back. Boom. See how it's working for us. His eyes are doing some weird stuff, but that's okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and lock down all of our keys on our controls. And then we can do the spline button. Right, we can go ahead and we can put this into auto mode or spline mode. Biggest part, I like to kind of flesh out the biggest part of the an animation first, right? And that's obviously that punch. Let's make sure that our this is all into auto mode, right? Let's see what time we're at real quick. Okay, we're at 55 minutes, so this is getting close to being wrapped up anyway, so this punch won't take us too long. Want to make sure we try and get close to that hour mark. Okay. Rotate upwards like this is going to come straight out. Okay. Right, you get that straight arm action, or that path of action, right? It's coming straight up through that arm. It's not going down and then up like it was before. It's going, you're seeing that path of action from this pose to this pose to this pose, right? And it's that nice line, that path of action that body part is traveling through, right? And so as he comes into this, we can ease in like this with this as well. Okay, like this. The head is following along. We can have to manually do that. I don't know. Let's see if this has, oh yeah, it does have a follow space. Let's see, like this. Okay, let's just go with that. Follow. Go to our graph editor real quick since we changed that. Go to this body space. Put that at 0. Delete these. And now it's at 0 the whole time. And then we also need to get rid of rotations. Maybe not. Let's lock that in, then get rid of the rotations. His eyes are doing something crazy, scary, right? But it's okay, we can fix that. Let's go ahead and rotate this back up like this. Oops, gotta block this down first. Just trying to fix those eyes here. So he's coming back, right? And it's easing into that back. When he reels back, it's easing into it. Right, and we also want to put that into the bend down as well, right? And so we just raise this one up a little bit so it eases into that bend down. Also got to do the same for this here. We got to pull this up like this. Get that straight arm the whole time. Maybe just a little bit. Rotate it downward on this frame. Oops. And we want to keep that straight arm throughout the entire thing, right? So if you notice right here, you got the punch and then his arm's starting to come down and bend like this. We want to make sure that that follows back down as well, right? So we need to rotate this arm like this, up like this. And his arm might take longer to return back, right? In fact, we want it to do that. We want it to take a little bit longer to return back than everything else. We can pull it to here. Let's pull it to here. Make sure everything has. Okay, let's see here. Rotate this upward still. We still want to get that. Okay. So if we track the hand here, it's if the tip of the finger here, right here, goes down and then back up again. We don't want that. We want to get rid of that. And so we're going to rotate up like this, so we get a nice arc. And we might have to grab this here and pull it. And we want to lock this pose in here and then do this and then pull it down like this. Right. It feels really good, right? I like that. I like how that feels. And his foot here, I almost forgot about the foot. His foot is going to go first, right? His whole body's going to start rotating, but his foot is first and foremost. It's going to go first, right? His foot is going to step. It's going to go up like this, and then the rest of his body's going to follow after. And his foot is going to come after the fact when he's going for the punch, right? He's got to throw his weight first. Let's see. Might be moving too much. Let's take that roll down. Toe spin, let's take that. Okay. Let's give this a couple frames. It's going to lift up in the air, it's going to drag on the ground. This foot is not looking perfect. It's not looking great. Let's see. Let's keep this. It's too far back. Maybe we just keep it. Nah, that doesn't look great either. I think it might be the fact that it's not staying where it's at. Right, and so maybe if we have him step back just a little bit less, bring it forward like this. Now it looks like his toe. That looks a lot better. And then this foot, it looks stiff, so we're gonna, when he does this, it's gonna roll down. Roll down, keep rolling down. Okay, I'm liking that a lot more now. That foot is looking a lot better. Obviously his head pops downward. We want to get rid of that. Like that. Right. Boom, boom. Okay. And then we're gonna keep that straight arm in this arm as well. This and then okay. Yeah, I liked how that's looking from the back too as well, right? And then what we can do when I was scaling that fist is we can actually scale it up right here, right? But it's got to scale back down to 1 pretty quickly, right? Or at least to maybe 1.2. Oh, and then that one's got to come to 1. Let's see, maybe let's... That is a little too much. And right here on this one, and this might not work on this quite this animation, like the one on this animation. It hits. And then maybe we need to have it so it scales up on this animation and then scales back down on this animation. Blah. With this leading edge, when he's leading like this, you can actually grab the fingers here because his hand is leading the action, right? That's what we wanted to make it look like. It's like his hand is leading the action. So what we can do is we can pull these. Let's see if I grab the wrong controls here. Might have. You can actually pull these fingers out like this instead of leading. That's kind of exaggerated, but you get this cool looking effect, smear frame effect, right? We don't want the scale to be too obvious on this fist when it's scaled up and then when it's scaling down. And maybe we want to keep the fist like this more. Yeah. Yeah, and so when he does the punch the guy, it's gonna go and scale up and then scale back down. It's gonna create this cool effect, and when you get like VFX with this punch, it's gonna even pop that scale even more and make it feel a lot more powerful. There's probably some more work that we can do with the leg here, but I think this is a good stopping point. I mean, we got a jab and a powerhouse punch in there. Maybe let's let this drift in. Yeah, okay, that works a lot. It's not hitting so hard, right? But really what I want to focus on is this upper body, right? Boom, boom. And there's one thing I want to do here, and that's have the body. This might take a little more work than just doing this real quick. Right, he overshoots just a little bit. Yeah, it feels a lot better, right? There's a couple more things that I could do to it to spruce it up. That that ease in. I mean that rotating back, but that feels good for what it's at. Sometimes you get a little too excited about spline mode and I just keep going. Yeah, I think that's feeling really cool. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in today. I had a lot of fun, animating a jab and a powerhouse punch today. Let's turn these merge curves off. Next week we'll probably focus on something else. Just one more thing here. That's bothering me. It's how his head stiffly turns with his body. Okay. It's not completely beautiful. But anyways, thanks for joining me today, guys, and doing the tutorial with me, and I hope this helps you with your future animations, seeing how how you can easily get a powerhouse punch and going through the looking up your reference process and everything. And like always, if anybody wants to see any cool animation for like games or anything, let the channel know, and we can really try and do an animation tutorial for it and do some cool things. But yeah, again, thanks for and stopping by, guys, on here every Tuesday and Thursdays about 10:30 p.m. So please come on by, join us for our live videos, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. I'm Gogan with Baka Studios.